Hey, what's up, everybody? Your boy JC, Everyday Thoughts is in the building. How's everybody doing tonight? Your boy JC. Special guest to me tonight, Miss Jocelyn Wells. Everybody gather around. How's everybody doing tonight? Who all we got in the building tonight? Tonight's topic is giving each other space in relationships. What's going on, Rochelle? What's going on, Jolly? What's going on, everybody?
Um, Hi there.
Hola, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Blessed and highly favored. What's going on with you?
Oh, I'm sleepy.
Yeah, I'm a little bit same here, but yeah, tonight's topic is the importance of having giving each other space in relationship. What's going on, Dewana? What's going on, everybody? But yeah, though, when you think about that, what's your initial reaction?
Um, my initial reaction to that is that I just think your space is just something that's respected up as you are, as you exist. I don't know that I've ever really dealt with a situation with someone was asking for more space in a relationship. So I was hoping you could kind of give me some situations and maybe it'll tweak my own thoughts on if I've ever been in that situation or if I ever felt like I needed more from someone else.
Well, I mean, space like as far as just having like girls trips, girls night out. I think it's always important, especially for a woman to have that time to bond with her friends, her family, etc. And especially she has kids, she's working a lot. Just yeah, just have time for herself.
Right. I guess that goes both ways with women
Both
and
ways
men,
too.
but
Yeah,
yeah, but
men
I don't
too.
know. I think the older you get, the less that becomes a problem. I think those if that poses a problem, it stems more in some insecurities or unknowing about what's going on in the relationship. But as you get older, you kind of establish those boundaries of things that's important to you. So, that's just something we have to grow in because we have to keep in mind that we are we came here by ourselves and our path, our purpose is our purpose. It doesn't have to do with our partner. So we have to take the steps along our journey that allows us to become our best self. So I think it's definitely important to respect your partner and respect their desires, even if they're different from yours. So,
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, it's all about having creating boundaries for each other. Creating that kind of space where you guys know the ins and outs, what y'all agree with, the negotiable, non-negotiables, and how can y'all communicate better? How can y'all love each other better? You know, because sometimes you see couples arguing. People on the outside they may looking at them, they're fussing and fighting, but a lot of times that's what some couples need to do to connect with each other. They need to argue, need to scream at each other. It may not look good on the outside looking in, but to those two people, that's what it works for those two people.
right. Yeah, and you really can't say how people communicate. I think I said this last night on my show. The main thing, if you're in a relationship with someone, regardless of the conversation, if the goal is to love each other and the goal is to be together, you have to speak with loving words. Like, my thought is you don't damage someone you love with the mouth that you speak with them. You can't do that, and it creates a sense of distrust. So in establishing boundaries for yourself early on, that I want to take a trip, I want to go on this trip, I want to do this, I want to, and being trusting in it, that aids to being able to just establish the space within the relationship that you have.
Yeah, and you talk about your words. The words do mean a lot. Your tongue does have power, whether it can speak life into you, speak death into you. So you always want to give out good, encouraging, positive, uplifting words to your mate. You don't always want to be arguing, fussing, fighting, because, like you said, you only have so much time to be together, and it's very limited. So you want to make sure that the opportunity that you guys spending is very quality, very productive, and very manageable.
Right. Yeah, and I mean that's important. I think we get lost. Sometimes we get lost so much in what we want that we forget there are other people connected to it. But the key to that is you have to still save yourself and you have to still get what you need. When you're sacrificing your own desires and wishes and needs to meet somebody else's, that doesn't put you in this amazing space of respect. It actually puts you more in a space of detriment to yourself. And then, then that becomes something totally different. So there has to really be a balance of um, understanding, a very respectful partnership. And some stuff that people argue about, the questions that they have for each other, I'm like, gosh, you guys shouldn't. In my mind, I don't say this to them, but I'm like, y'all shouldn't even be in a relationship. Like, damn, this is so many red flags going off right now. What y'all even fight? What you trying to get to? So that's important to me, is to just be who you are, be your authentic self, and the person who loves you will love you that way. So
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to handicap that person. You don't want to make somebody feel uncomfortable. You want that person to feel like themselves. They can communicate. They come to you at their darkest moments, when they're high, they're low. Y'all can communicate effectively. It's no kind of disrespect, no kind of
right,
name calling. Everything is, like I said, you may be upset, mad, but there's always going to be a way that y'all can coexist. There's always ways that y'all can tame your tongue and, not speak detriment to that person, because like I said, your words
right.
do mean a lot. Your words do uh, can speak life and death into somebody, man or woman.
Yeah. And that's the thing. We sometimes the intention, for me, the thing when I'm talking or counseling with someone, I always say, what is the intention? If you're in a if you're in a relationship and it's loving and your plan is to be together, your intention, what is your intention? Like, if there's something I want and I say, I want this, I make decisions for myself all the time. So no one gets to tell me, husband, boyfriend, kids, no one can tell me that I can't have it. I want it. And I don't get to argue with you about what I want. As my partner, as my husband, if I have a want, guess what? It now becomes a want of yours to see me pleased. We don't, my wants don't supersede my husband or my boyfriend, whatever. My wants won't put them in a bad space. They're putting me in a better space to continue to grow, to learn more about myself, to become a better lover, to become a better cook, whatever it is. If it's my want, it's my want. No one gets to take my want away or to tell me I can't have it. So that just goes being in the respectful relationship. That's in an adult relationship of like two people who understand they exist independent of each other.
Yeah, like I said, it's not all about being controlling or being quote unquote the bigger person. You're supposed to come together, submit to each other, and make sure y'all making each other's lives a lot better, a lot healthier, a lot wholer than when y'all was apart. There's no point of y'all come together and y'all still arguing, y'all still bickering, y'all still not getting each other's needs met. That's what I was always saying. Learn each other's love language. Whether it's physical touch, quality time, act of service, gift giving. It's like you got to figure out what that
Mm-hmm.
person loves, what that person needs and desires, so you can, find that way how to love that person. Because the way you want to be loved may not be the way the other person will be loved too, vice versa. So that's why definitely always important
Absolutely.
to love your love language and stuff.
Absolutely. And the thing about, if you're in a toxic, emotionally, verbally abusive relationship, and I say that because we always have a tendency to smooth it over and make it sound better. Oh, we just have arguments, or we're just heated. That's, if you're in a space that doesn't allow you to grow, that doesn't breathe life into you, that's holding you in your place. That's holding you in place that you can't even move forward to getting to being of purpose, because you're stuck in this negative space. People who love you don't want to keep you in a negative space. Now, they may love you and they may be fearful of losing you, or they don't want anybody else to have you, or so there's their reasons for keeping you in that space. Well, that's selfish and that's not beneficial to you. So the first thing people need to realize is that the relationship, is it a healthy relationship? Is the goal to keep it a healthy relationship? If it's not, then just, you got to release it. You have to just let it go and move, heal from it, try to repair any damage that was made, and just continue to move on. But there's no reason to stay in a relationship that's going to tear you apart, and you'll have spend years trying to get to a place of even understanding understanding of what you're supposed to do. That's a big deal. So I'm not an argue. I don't argue. I'm a communicator, and I don't argue. And when people want to argue with me, if you want to argue with me and you feel so passionate about what you're saying that your goal to substantiate it is to tear me down, my response to you is simply, okay, that's it. Because no one gets to tear me down. You don't have that power. God didn't give you power to you to tear me down, to make me less, to make me feel bad, to make me have to process your negative words. He didn't put you, God didn't put you in that role. So for me, and that's just me, some people get fire out of arguing. I'm like, oh, that's such a negative. It's hard to heal from it. The next day you're exhausted. You're like, oh my God. I just don't even allow myself in that space. So that's what I think. You just have to make sure that you're in a nurturing space of love before you even consider your needs being met. Because if they're not being met, then you have to continue. You have to move on. And people don't like to hear that.
Yeah, but sometimes you gotta know when I throw in the white towel. A lot of times, when it's time to go. It's time to go. When the
Yeah.
eviction notice is on the front door. You know when it's time to move and pack the stuff. Well, you see a lot of people, they stay in a relationship hoping that things will get better. So they stay in there 1 month, 2 months, a year, 2 years. They know it's not, and in the world, it's not going down. It's not going nowhere. You know,
No.
they're not
But
going to get married. You're not going to get anything substantial. The beast is going to continue happening, but you keep thinking that one day it's going to be better. But deep down, it's not going to manifest anything. So you just got to do a better job of knowing who you are and knowing your self worth, and not put up any kind of BS, any kind of distraction, any kind of thing that's going to tear you down or hinder your development.
right. And that those are the things that happen when we're in our own space, when we're talking about giving our partner space. And people don't like to do that because they're fearful that they're going to want something outside of them, or they'll discover something new. You want that from your partner. You want them to continue to grow, and you want to be the fuel for that. So when you talk about, I love to do stuff. Like, that's hands down. I love to travel. I love to meet new people. I do. That's a part of my thriving. And I also know that a man who dates me, he can't be insecure about the fact that I love to meet people and that I love to travel. And I have a schedule for my job that allows me to do such. If I had to argue with somebody about my movements, I would immediately, I don't care who it is, I would break it off immediately. That's not a role they can play in my life. Because if their interest is weighing me down or putting this negativity on me when my goal is to be pleasing in God's eye, then that's not somebody that needs to be in my life, right? Because I always say that when it's time, when God comes for me, he's going to be like, hey, Joycelyn, you ready? And I'm going to be like, well, I would have been ready, but such and such didn't want me to do this and this and this. He's not talking to me about anybody else. He's only talking to me about my purpose. No one gets the light on my day, right? So we have to keep that in mind. And it's hard, especially for women. And I don't know as much for men, but it's hard for women because we want someone. My guest last night talked about us being sold a dream about a fairy tale and our prince will come. That's what we want. And we spend years looking for him, waiting for him to show up, to finally end up with someone who is hell bent on destroying us or keeping us in a space and tearing us down emotionally and mentally. And then you realize I've wasted a lot of damn time on nothing. Like, this was horrible, and I'm worse coming out of it than I was going in. So we have to be able to recognize the things that are good for us and the things that are beneficial to us, and grasp onto those, or either let the other stuff go so that we can get that goodness.
All right, but send out a few shout outs and read some of these comments. What's going on, Latoya? Reddy, Sylvia, Simba, What's going on, everybody? Tina, Destiny, Tani, what's going on, everybody?
Hi,
Uh,
everybody.
yeah, what's going on, everybody? All right, Stephen. Stephen said this conversation right here lets me know that in some ways, I think submissiveness from a woman is no longer needed, just in the fact that we're talking about giving one another space.
What did he say of that? He thinks a woman being submissive is no longer needed.
Yeah, that's what he was. That's what he was saying.
I think so, Stephen. I think that one of the things that I say and hang on to is that submission is inspired. I'm a very strong, I'm very independent. Like I always have since I was 6 years old. Like I've always taken care of myself. So, but a man can't come into my life and say to me, you should submit to me. So I think submission is very much real, but I think it's something that is inspired by your partner. But it's a submission from both. It's a
Yeah,
I give to you, I bow to you. My pleasure is to give you everything that you want. And I'm so caught up in giving you everything that you want. And you're so caught up in giving me everything that I want and pleasing me. And we're in this crazy ass battle of pleasure that we both submit to the fact that we're vulnerable, we're stronger together. So submission is out there, but it's not a directive. It's not a you submit to me or woman should you should submit. It's more of a we're in a situation and circumstance has created this submission. So I believe that submission is real. I've dated for years and I know that men are like a woman should submit to me and da da da. And I'm thinking, submit to your what? Like what am I submitting to? What? And that's the thing. It's not submitting to I'm gonna cook for you or clean your clothes or clean your house. We do that anyway. That's not submission. That's
that's
we have to take care of our house. Like, and we got to do right. That's not submission. Submission
no, that's a
is
lot
let me.
of that's a lot of misogyny though.
Yeah, well, it is a lot of that is definitely a lot of misogyny, but submission is more of, let me give you everything that I am, and this is going to be pleasing. That's what I think submission is. It's not. There are a lot of misogynists out there. That's a whole nother conversation.
No, that would be a good topic though. Misogyny, that would be a good topic though.
Yeah, that's real, and a lot of men won't identify themselves as that, but it's definitely out there. Yeah.
Yeah, what's going on, Smith, Deshaun, Bridget? All right, Stephen said, I believe communication to be more important than love because in order to communicate, we learn how to love one another properly.
I think that for me, love is the focus of my communication. Um, my intention is to love, and if my intention is to love you, I'm going to take the time to communicate with you. If I don't love you, my answers will be short and direct, and I'm gone. And I don't consider your feelings in it. And I'm going to, not just with my partner, but even with my children growing up. I love my children. I had to teach them. I had to teach them to communicate. I had to teach them to be aware of their surroundings. And because I love them, that I communicated with them. And I believe I did very well. And I talk about that in my book, how I always spoke to my children as they were adults. So communication is definitely key, but it's more, to me, it's more of what you know of yourself and what you can give to other people. But love is the thing that guides your communication in a relationship. It's definitely, for me, it's love. Because if I don't love you, it doesn't matter how we talk to each other. It doesn't, we don't even have to talk. So I'm not going to talk to you to learn to love you. I'm going to know that this is the person that I'm loving and I want to share in pleasure with them. Let me make sure that they're protected with the words that come out of my mouth. Let me speak love in my words, even in a time that I'm unhappy. And let me say, I said this on my show last night, if I'm in a conversation with, if Jonathan and I are having a discussion and we're getting heated on here, the first thing I'm going to say to you, Jonathan, is, hey, I know I love you, and you know that we want to be pleased at the end of this. And I hope we both are. For me, it's important that you know I'm trying to get my point across, but I'm trying to do it in a space of love and understanding, not in a place that I'm winning or you're wrong and I'm right. Not in a space of that, in a space of we have developed a platform that we can speak to each other in loving words. That's going to get us to continue a relationship of having these open forums.
Yeah, like I said, it's all about having good communication, and loving that person or communicating that person your wants, your needs, your desires. And you can have a debate discussion without being argumentative, without being rude or nasty, hateful. So everything should be at a level of respect. You have your viewpoint, I have my viewpoint. At the end of the day, we come together and kind of see what can we learn from the conversation, the dialogue, whatever it is. There is no right or wrong
Yeah,
answer.
that's right. We're just trying to get to a space that we can continue. When I have a argument, and I say that loosely because I might start laughing. It's a nervous energy for me. But when I have an argument the next day, when you do like a risk assessment after the fact, you're like, I was just so unhappy when you said, or I was, and so the guy I'm dating said, when you said XYZ, I was so annoyed. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And he was like, you're sorry. I was like, I'm sorry that what I said annoyed you. Like, I don't want you to feel that way. Right. And I said, I'm not apologizing for what I said and the point I was making, or I'm not saying it wasn't true. I don't like that you were annoyed. And he's like, okay. And but that's the truth. Like, you don't want to make your partner feel uncomfortable, but your partner can't manipulate that either. Your partner has to be genuine in their role as well. But I think that's very important. And my uh lady I went to high school with, a friend of mine, is on here, Mina. She and her husband have been married for years, and she and I have talked back and forth, and she uses her loving words very she's very methodical in her words. So I can imagine the conversations she had in her house with her children and her husband, because she's very aware of the words. And that's the conversation piece. Are you aware of what's coming out of your mouth? Are you speaking it with love, or are you speaking with hatred? Is your intention to hurt? Is your intention to uplift? Exactly what you said, Jonathan. So the communication piece starts in our own mind, right? That's where the communication starts. Am I trying to hurt you? And you don't want to do that with someone that you love.
Yeah, because
No.
sometimes you gotta get that person that tough love. You know what I'm saying? With that person, they beat you in the chest. But at the end of the day, it's all about for love. Especially that person pattern. Something they may say, they may shock you a little bit, but at the same time, though, that person, the only person that has good intentions for you, so you're not going to sit up there and question it. Because it's like it's better because it's better to have that tough talk than have someone just cater to you and just tell you what you want to hear, as opposed to something put you in your chest like, hey, listen here, you could have done this better, X Y Z.
Yeah. Oh, now let me tell you, as kind as I am, I come with it because I don't do a lot of emotional talk. I would probably be a lot softer and kinder if I had an emotional space. But I don't really do a lot of bullshit, right? I'm to the point. And something that's been pointed out to me is that I'd rather cut the bread with a sword than a butter knife, right? I'd rather just be like wonk. And sometimes people need the butter knife. Some people need it to be gentle, and that's not something that I offer. So, and now keep in mind, my children were reared under this same tongue too. So I'm very direct with it. If my children made a choice and they end up in a situation later and they're all upset about it and they're telling me about it, and I'm like, well, you remember that's what you chose. So what do you do now? Like, I don't engage in the oh, I don't I've lost that ability to do that. So I'm very much I shoot from the hip real quick, but I still can't hurt people. If I'm speaking from a fact space or a information space, that's not going to be hurtful. That's just going to be the thing that gets you to the next place. And that's difficult to do as well. So,
Yeah, and like I said, going back to the whole, having space. Like I said, your guy. He may want football, basketball. There's the finals going on. That's kind of a time where a lot of guys kind of get in their man mode, their man cave, want to watch the game, sports. It's kind of like, how do you kind of like push back? How do you kind of like know you're supporting him, but at the same time you may not know what's going on the screen, you may not know what a touchdown is, a football, a field goal, but it's like, you still want to support him, but at the same time, you got to know what's
yeah.
going on.
But the thing is, it's like, for me, my guy can have anything he wants. He can have, like, literally, he can have anything he wants. He can watch football all day. He can literally have anything that he wants. And the thing is this: when you feel like you're not a part of somebody's life, if you can't figure out how to still be relevant, then you have to exit. The goal is to take care of yourself. One of the things for me that's really important is, when you're doing something what you love, I'm okay with doing something that I love. And that poses a problem for a lot of men who like to get caught up in their own thing. Men like to know where their women are. So if they are, even if they're caught up in football, they're happy knowing, oh, she's at home or she's this. But you have to do your own thing. Like, I'm traveling, I'm going to Italy this summer by myself. I have a girlfriend who lives over there. I'm going by myself. My guy isn't going with me. I told him, babe, I'm going to Italy for the summer. He was like, okay. But I could be dating anybody else who would have a fit about me going to Italy by myself for the summer. But he recognizes I have wanderlust. I'm probably a nomad. I travel, a troubadour, whatever term you want, from wherever. That's who I am. I love to experience different cultures and different things, even in my own backyard. So when people get caught in their own thing, when you're so caught that you have lost the ability to love what you have chosen, then that's on you. That's not on me. And I still have to take care of myself. I still got to do stuff. I have to go and find my pleasure pockets, and not necessarily sexual, in other spaces. So it's not, when men, if women want to know more about football, it's easy to learn about football. Google it. What's a touchdown? What's a this? It's information out there. There's no, to this day and age, nobody's helpless. No one's helpless anymore. There's so much information out there. If you want to be a part of that life of his, but you also have to respect the fact that maybe he doesn't necessarily want you to be a part of that life of his. And if he doesn't, are you okay with it? If you're not, keep it moving. It's not your guy. If he's okay with it, he'll envelop you, bring you along, get you some paraphernalia, tell you when to scream, bring you on the experience. That's what men do. When they want you to be a part of what they're doing. So that's easy. That's an easy fix right there.
Yeah. Yeah, someone said topic is space and relationship, right? Not hearing much to that effect.
Well, they must just tune in because we keep referring to it, but it kind of goes not just space as a single topic. It's a fluid conversation about people and relationships, and what does the conversation about space sounds like. So I think we were just talking about that. What does it look like when somebody's wanting space during football season to do their thing? So we are having the conversation of space, but it's fluid. And those topics, these things aren't one dimensional in relationships. They are across the board. So if there's something specific, a specific question you have to space about space, type it in. Let's answer that question for you. We're more than happy to engage you there.
Yeah, Steven said if you want your lady to give you your space, you should offer her your time first and not make her feel secondary. Yeah, yeah, I do agree with that. You got to make
Oh
that feel a priority, you know, because it
yeah,
will
yeah.
happen to a lot of a lot of guys. You kind of be busy working. A lot of times the woman she don't really feel a part of your life, or you feel secondary. So you always want to try to let her feel like she is, first priority, and make sure, you let her know, check up on her, see how her day is, see what she's eating, you know.
Yeah.
So you always gotta do little
You said
things,
that last time. Yeah.
but
That's what you said that before, just to do those check-in moments and just to
Yeah.
see how she is. But a lot of that sounds like, in saying that, make, of course, making her a priority, but a person has to be whole coming into the relationship. So if you're dealing with someone who doesn't have a sense of value of who they are, that it's not your responsibility to give it to them. It's so
No,
no one can
I
come
wasn't
to
saying
you.
like that.
Yeah. Oh no, no, I know
I
that's,
was
but I'm
saying,
just saying it in
yeah.
general, because we get caught in that. We get caught in like, I gotta make her feel. I gotta, I gotta make him feel. We get caught in that. But we really can't do that for a person. We come whole, and we already feel like we're contributing because we knowingly entered a relationship. No one forced us into a relationship. So if you are with somebody that's telling you, I don't feel like I'm a part of your life, and then you can ask specifically, what do you think needs to happen for you to feel a part of my life, because I think that I'm doing that. So it, and that just goes back to the conversation piece. But you can't save them. They don't want to be saved. You got to give them, like, you have to really see where they are and if it's a fit for the relationship that you're in, because it may not be a fit, and you can't there's no babysitting in grown up relationships. There's no babysitting.
No, I
None.
remember I was talking about space as in like not so much space, but I was saying like let's say you work all day long, you haven't checked up on her, like seen if she's eating, seen if she's
Oh
doing
yeah.
okay, and then like as soon as you get off, you go straight to your home, you plug into the game, you plug into the finals, the NBA, NFL, and you haven't really said anything to her all day long. But you call her after the game, she's gonna be like, "What? You haven't said anything to me all day long." I know you had
But
times that you
do you need
FaceTime.
that?
I mean, like I
Sometimes
said,
women need that,
everyone
right?
was different though.
Yeah. Sometimes women, but that if your woman is attention, if your woman is high maintenance attention wise, that. If you're dating a woman that needs to hear from you all the time, it's not new. But some women are like, I'm fine with a couple of days. Text message, hey babe, you good? Like, some women are fine with that. But if it's like buying a car that requires crazy maintenance, you bought it, So when you get in a relationship with a woman who is high maintenance in that attention needing area, then that's what you've committed to. That's on you. So you can't be like, I'm gonna give you all this attention and then I'm not. That's your choice that you made.
Yeah, that's the thing. You got to be
I,
consistent though. Like the way you start off with her, the way you need to continue the whole situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're right. But how long does it take, Jonathan? I know you guys have talked about this. How long does it take for your true self to show in a relationship?
I mean, I'm just myself regardless, so it doesn't really faze me.
Yeah.
What you
But
said
people
was,
will say like 90 days, or
I don't
what
even
is
know.
it?
I
I
mean, when
think
you're
people give you
real,
like,
no, that when you're real, when you come at it, honest and transparent, you tell a person what you're about, and it's something thing they can really judge you by.
right. But then
If
you
you
have a
feel like
lot
you
of
gotta
fake.
like
You
put
have
on mask and I gotta dip and die, I gotta hold my words and stuff, then that's when you're not in a good situation. You're not giving that person your all.
Absolutely. And your
You're not
intentions
really
are already to deceive. Yeah.
yeah, you're not really giving that person your all, you're not giving that person the love that they need, respect that they need. You're trying to duck and dodge and hide who you really are and stuff. I feel like that's
Yeah.
childish.
Yeah. Childish. And you're maybe embarrassed about who you are. You haven't accepted who you are or your role, and you're playing. And I mean, but if that's how you enter it, it's already flawed. It's already a mess. So there's no way to fix that. But I think that when people enter relationships and they get to know that person, if they need those conversations, text messages, for me personally, I would be, for somebody who wants something from me all the time, I'm like, gosh, you really need some stuff to do, because I can't give it to you. I mean, look how hard it is for us to connect, to go live together. Let me think of that seriously. Like, so if somebody needed something from me all the time, I would just be like, don't you have a hobby or something? Like, go do something. I'm like, I can't do it. I'm probably horrible in relationships. But I work all the time. Like, I work a lot. And so I have a job, and then I have my business. And so with that comes my clients. Yeah, that's what Mina said, not everyone starts off 100. I have my children. I have things that I like to do. So when somebody comes into my life and they just like, I haven't seen you in 2 days, and I'm like, oh my God, did we have plans? Did I miss something? I'm like, what you want to see me about? Like, what's the problem? So I think you have to be honest about that, about yourself. When you meet somebody right off, it doesn't take long to just be like, this is who I am. So
Felicia said the irony: people want a relationship, but also want space. I think it's good to have your male time, your female time, or just time to yourself. 'Cause a lot of times you got to figure out who you are and identity. 'Cause a lot of times you cling to that person, and then once the relationship ends, it's like, who are you really? So a lot of times they have
oh
identity
yeah,
crisis because they're so attached to that person. They really haven't, really invested in themselves. Well, their life, they're just like they're doing stuff that they like doing for themselves. Without having that other person
right.
attached to them. So you always gotta make sure that you're, progressing and progressing for yourself too.
Oh, absolutely. Because you're, like I said earlier, you're responsible. You're still responsible for your gifts to the universe. You're still responsible for what you have to give. You can't stop. Right. So, and Felicia was saying that people want a relationship, but they still want space.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's true. You absolutely want a relationship, and you absolutely want your space. That's how you get to be good, even great in your relationship. When you have your space to continue to grow and to become
Mhm.
who you are, you become more aware of your abilities to love and to engage in relationships. So that's absolutely true. You're right. People
That
do
way,
want their space.
when y'all come
Yeah.
together, it's been like a couple of days. You talking about a long distance relationship. When y'all come back together, that's when stuff gets on and popping.
But it's, you know what? It's always, and that's the thing. That's the key. That's the key to it right there. The on and popping. It's always on and popping. It's not ever off. When you can get to a
I wasn't
place
saying
to
like that.
manifest, but no, but I mean, but still,
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
mean, I'm
yeah.
just saying, like, when you can get to a place that love is manifested even in your conversations and your thoughts, and the fear and self-doubt and those vanish, and the trust is there, and you feel good in it and protected. It's always on. That's what makes the relationship, that's what makes those relationships great. It's separate. That's what separates those great relationships from the other stuff. When you can figure out how to exist in this loving, nurturing space. And it seems really simple, but that's it. Like, that's really the truth. It's not, we're not fighting. We fighting each other to love? No, we don't fight each other to love. We love each other to love. We are talking to each other. We're growing. I'm becoming a better person so that I can love you better. I'm becoming a stronger person so that I can be better for our family. And that's it right there. You gotta, yes, you need your space so that you can be good in relationships, so you can be good to yourself. Be
Yeah.
like, I need some time. Just get away from me.
All right. Steven said my sons are grown, and I watch them in their relationships, and I've come to feel that women in some cases need more space than the man. Maybe that's where the maturity factor comes in. Yeah, I do agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree with that. I think men can become very complacent. Men are very comfortable with uh an activity, a game, 3 hours, 4 hours, or 12 hours of football on a Sunday. And men are very happy in that space. I can barely watch a game. And I can't even pretend that I'm going to. I won't even pretend to you that I'm going to watch. I won't even say, oh, I'm going to watch it with you. I'm not. I will never say that to you. I can't do, my mind doesn't allow it. It's torturous to me. So if I'm sitting there and I'm watching it, that's not pleasurable for me. Even if I'm with you and you're enjoying it, I'm dying. So if you're watching football or in a room with me, I'm probably reading a book or I'm on my computer or I'm writing, right? So I'm doing something else, but I'm not watching. I can't, I'm not geared that way. And for somebody to ask that of me says what? They're not aware of me, or they don't care necessarily about the way that I'm wired. So I think men are very easy, and that's a good word. They're very easy in what they can do and how they do it, and women need something else. Let's do something. Let's go somewhere. And men are like, I'm somewhere. I'm chilling. I'm chilling. And we're like, we got some time, right? So, but I think Steven's right in that, definitely. Yeah, I
Yeah,
would agree
like
with
so
that.
we are kind of complacent. Like I'll be at the house, video games, watching TV, sports. Just,
It's
if
easy.
you, yeah, like
You guys are
TV.
easy.
But then it kind of like messes up for a relationship as far as going out doing stuff because you're so tied into the matrix. You know, you don't really feel like doing much.
Well, you feel like you're into it, but men when men are with women that they want to be with, when a man is with a woman who ignites him and he feels like this is mine and I'm going to take care of it, he'll come out of the matrix for it. The problem is he's not coming out of the matrix for somebody that's just somebody. That's the problem. But when it's time to come out of the matrix for the one that's theirs, the soulmate, the twin flame, the whatever it is, oh, he'll come out of it gladly. He'll gladly come out of it. And so we have to be aware of that when we're forcing ourselves into situations that aren't pleasurable. You know, maybe this isn't the relationship I should be in, or maybe this isn't the space that I should be in. But that's the maturity of walking away from it and not forcing yourself to do something you don't want. And it won't even require a lot. You're just like, oh, that's my baby right there. Let me go see what she's doing.
Yeah, let me see
So,
what you're
but
doing.
that's,
I could put this on pause, or I could watch it another time. That she's more
mm-hmm.
important. So, you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's not even like you're making a choice, it's
Something,
what you
yeah,
want.
yeah. You want
It's like
some?
what you wanted. Like you can't think of anything better in this moment than to be in that space with that person. And that's the difference, because it's not you're not forcing yourself to do it. And we don't think that, because we get so jaded dating and not trusting our own ideas about love, we think that doesn't exist, but it's truly out there. It's truly available to us. We just have to make sure that we're available to it. So
Yeah, like I
space
said,
and
really should be
everything.
no kind of sacrifice. It should be something that y'all want to do mutually. You know, so like I said, y'all come together.
Oh yeah, you want to come together. It's not a fight. How many times do you have to fight to come together with somebody that you want to be with? That's not a fight either. That's like, okay, like, what do you
Yeah, ain't
want
no
to
need to
do?
fight,
Okay,
argue. You know, like I said, we in this together, or we not. So we either all chain or we not chain at all. So
yeah. So let's see. Steven says sometimes people get comfortable. They forget about the spark it took to ignite the relationship in the beginning. Yep. Oh, let's see what Mina said. I get more writing and schoolwork done when my husband is not home. You know what? I bet. Absolutely. So Mina said, and she does plays and movies, and she just finished her degree. She does stuff all the time, and her husband is there, but it doesn't mean she loves him any less, because she's got her own thing, and he's very respectful of it. Um, so that's definitely a respect factor of time and your gifts, right? And as far as Stephen, you're right. People get very complacent and forget about the passion, forget about the spark. But you don't you don't want to forget that. you know what? I had a conversation with my ex-husband about his new wife, and he was talking about how she is his soulmate. He's like, she's my soulmate. She's different from Joy. She's my soulmate. If something needs to get done, she does it. And he just was giving this list of things about his new wife, and I was listening to him, and he said the difference between her and Joy, was talking to me and a couple of his colleagues, is that Joy is a helpmate. Like, Joy can help you get to where you're going or what you're doing. And he was really saying this, and he was thinking about it, and I think for him it was good. And I told him, I said, well, I'm happy that you found someone to remind you to do things that you should already know. Like, I'm happy that you found someone to give you that, because that's what he says, she'll make sure it gets done. And I said, because for me, I'm pleasure. That's what my goal is for my husband. I'm his pleasure. That's it. I'm strictly his pleasure. Imagine that. I'm strictly his pleasure. Anything that will bring him goodness, that's what I bring into our relationship. That's it. And it seems like, well, is that enough? It's absolutely enough, because that means I'm going to take care of him, and I'm going to love him, and I'm going to make sure the path he walks is covered in goodness, that he can't think of anything other than loving me and taking care of me. That's what my role is. I ain't his mama. I ain't his mama. I ain't his boy. I ain't trying to be his boy. I'm strictly pleasure. That's what I do. And that just says, when people think about who they are and what they provide in relationships, how do they see themselves? So for what Stephen was saying, I don't want to forget the spark. The spark is important to me. That desire fuels so much of my interaction, because it makes me vulnerable, and it puts me in a space of submission with this person who's going to take care of me. So I don't want to lose the spark. So I don't know how people stay in relationships and lose the spark, but I don't want to lose the spark.
Yeah, like I said, the courtship never ends. You gotta continue to date, court each other. Both parties. Keep putting yourself out there. Put yourself, in the running. 'Cause like I said, we put all the effort into our jobs, career, but it kind of has our mate. Just want it to be a bare minimum. So it's like you gotta find some way to spark it up. Just trying to improve on every aspect and trying to evaluate each other on something they could work on. Evaluate yourself too. Like, hey, work out that better. This area, that person. How can I do self improvements? Because the goal is all about having growth. Not being stagnant.
Oh, absolutely. But anything, and even the job that you put so much of yourself into, what if they downsized and got rid of that position, and then you're looking at home like, I have not cultivated anything in my house. I've not cultivated anything in the house that I've built, and they're looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm not even getting any support out of the people inside of my house because I haven't put in. That's not a balance of self. That's getting lost, because those jobs they don't care about if you get another job or not. You're on your own, but you have to cultivate enough understanding in your house that you can every time you go there, you're in a healing space. You're in a healing space, and you're ready to grow, and you're ready to try something new. So you can't be one-sided. No, you can't.
But yeah, though, we got to wrap it up pretty soon, though. Like I said.
Okay, when I'm ready, when you're ready.
Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna read the last comment. I gotta wrap it up. Gotta head on out. Steven said, "Pleasure is enough because of lots of things that you want. You can do your own, but let your woman please you."
Yeah. Yeah, and we all can do things on our own. Absolutely. So
Yeah,
I
I
agree.
mean,
This
like I
has
said,
been a
you gotta
great
get
conversation.
get your ego out the
Yeah.
way. Absolutely, let a woman do what she's supposed to do, and it's like it should come effortless.
But I mean, men are pleasure too now. Men provide pleasure as well.
Yeah,
But the
too.
ego
I
goes
have to
away.
go. It should go both ways, though. Yeah.
Yeah, the ego goes away when there's a level of self-efficacy established, a level of self-awareness established. So the ego goes away. It's really a battle for men in their 20s and early 30s. But once you get beyond that, your ego, you realize that you're bigger than the ego, and it's not enough to stop you from getting in these vulnerable spaces. So that, I mean, that's a conversation for another time. But the ego doesn't stay around forever, right? The ego, it's fleeting. It seems like it's there, but it's fleeting. So thank you so much, Jonathan, for having me. Thank you, Stephen and Mina, Felicia, for all of your comments. And I hope I was able to answer the question about the person who's asking about, we're not saying we weren't talking about space. I hope they got enough out of the conversation. So, but you guys listen to my show on next Thursday. I'll be in the studio in Atlanta, BFAM 109.6, and I'll also be live on Facebook. And you can find anything about me on my website, joycelynwells.com.
All right, appreciate everybody for tuning in. Yeah, make sure y'all check me out YouTube, Everyday Thoughts JC. Any kind of debate, discussion, doesn't matter. It's an open platform. We don't judge you. I don't, criticize you. It's all about good content and good dialogues, and I love people to come on, join me. So, I appreciate Jocelyn joining me tonight. Thank everybody for watching. Make sure y'all share this video and y'all check Jocelyn out, our radio show. And thank everybody for tuning in. You have a blessed night. Peace.
Good night.